Hello, movie lovers. Yeah, you're with Bob. He's from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and he lives on Cosburn Avenue. And he watches movies, and he's here to talk about the movies that he watched this week. So let's get started. Tingle, tingle. That's good for you, eh? Makes the blood go up and down. Anyway, I watched the movie in TCM. I recorded it. I record stuff to watch later, just in case, you know, this life goes on. And so I taped this one, recorded it. TCM, and it's called A Farewell to Arms. It's from 1932. Starring Gary Cooper and Helen Hayes, as far as I understand. World War I, Lieutenant Gary Cooper falls for a nurse. He falls in love with a nurse. Lovely, right? But their affair, you know, seeing each other is derailed by a major. And he sends her off to a different area. Yeah, so anyway, they do come across each other again later on through the movie, right? They do come across each other. Can't tell you too much about it, but you know, as always, sometimes if I talk too much about a movie, you kind of, I don't know, what is it, spoils it or stuff like that, right? And I don't want to ruin anything for you if you've never seen the movie. So I try not to do spoilers here or talk about movies that will spoil it for you. But this one is a very good movie. And I must admit, I never saw this movie before. I seen maybe a little bit in the beginning, I saw a little bit in the middle, but I never saw the whole movie. It got the whole thing right in your head, right? To watch a movie from. So I did. I finally watched this thing from the beginning to the end. First time watching this. And I tell you, at the end of this movie, I sat on my couch and I had tears running down my cheeks. Yeah, I was bawling. Like a baby. Yeah, I must admit. So friggin' sad, man. I got caught up in the moment and I just sat here and bawled. Yeah, I had to get the Kleenex out, wipe my face off. I had tears running down my face and my beard. That was a fucking mess. Excuse the swear word, sorry. But yeah, Farewell to Arms, 1932. Fantastic movie. I'm a sentimental slob. I cry all the time. I'm easy to cry when I watch sad movies. Oh, I didn't cry in the next one. Spartacus is the next watch. Spartacus! Yes! From, Farewell to Arms, sorry. I gave that an 8, a big 8. Fantastic movie. Spartacus, 1960. Come on, everybody, we all know Spartacus, right? I mean, you can watch Spartacus over and over again. Although Farewell to Arms is kind of hard to watch over and over again, but I'd give it another. I don't own them. I don't own Farewell to Arms, right? I don't own it. Spartacus, 1960. Kirk Douglas. Slave revolt against the Romans. He's a slave. There's all kinds of slaves. Romans have slaves for everything, right? Yeah. So they revolt, right? They run away. They gather up slaves. They fight against the Romans. But that's what they do, right? And yeah, they get a whole bunch of them. They're marching to the sea. They're trying to buy ships or rent ships, right? To get on ships to go back home. But that's basically the whole movie. Yeah, it's all about family, people. Your brothers and sisters. Let's get together and, yeah, rent some ships and boats and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, that's Spartacus, 1960. I give that a big 8 too. That gets an 8. There again. Hardly talk all week. It's another excuse to have a drink. It's good for you. What else did I watch? Oh, The Time Machine. The Time Machine was in this set. I showed this a couple of weeks ago. It's in this set of movies, and I think it's from the 2002 version, and it's not as it's all right, but I think the original one with Rod Taylor of Yvette Mimieux, I think 1960 Time Machine. I think, I'm not sure, but yeah, this one, Guy Pearce is in it. Yeah, Guy Pearce. He's talking about travel and time machines and stuff, go back in time and stuff. He's a little bit absent-minded. He's one of those professors, right, that would forget his code or his keys or stuff like that. He's, so he has a girlfriend and stuff, and they're in the park, and it's a wintertime, they're skating, right, and stuff like that, and then they come across this guy that wants to rob them. So he robs them, right, and his girlfriend gets shot and killed, stuff like that, right? Now he has a time machine, so he wants to go back in time, right, to see if he can fix this time thing, right, so she doesn't get shot and killed. He does it a few times, he goes back, but something always different happens. But that's that part, I can tell you that part, right? But now he's in his time machine, and he gets hit in the head or something, or some kind of a thing that knocks him out or stuff like that. And I don't want to go into too many details. But then again, he gets flung, he pushes his lever and he gets flung far into the future. Way off into the future. Way off into the future. And then, yeah, he wakes up. And then he comes across the Eloys. The Eloys, is that what they call them? Family, people, friendly people and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So that's okay. And then he wonders, where's all the old people? It's something similar to the original one, but not as good. So yeah, they're old people. Where's all the old people? So now you get my drift. Then he comes across the Morlocks, and they're an ugly bunch of bastards, right? They're Morlocks? Oh, geez. Creepy. Anyway, got a hair in my mouth. So that comes across as a 6. The Time Machine from 2002, Guy Pearce. No, it's not as, not that the original movie is a great, fantastic movie either, but it's a lot better than this one, my opinion, Bob's opinion. So this one gets a 6, all right, The Time Machine, and that's in this series of movies that I bought. All right, what else did I watch? Oh yeah, I watched Jonah Hex. The Jonah Hex with Josh Brolin, yeah, and Megan Fox. She's eye candy. She's eye candy. Yeah, she's nice looking. But this is from 2010. Jonah Hex, yes. He's a Confederate soldier. He gets his face all burnt to shit from this guy, right? And he's got a big gash in his face. And he's trying to find this guy he wants to kill him, basically, right? And he kind of talks to dead people. Yeah, in this, he kind of talks to dead people. So it's not a bad movie. It's a good Western. There's lots of action, getting shot, people, stuff like that. Horses, trains, all kinds of stuff. It's all right. Not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a bad movie. I gave it a 7. Yeah, you can watch this one again next year if you want to, if you're so inclined. Jonah Hex from the DC comic books. He had a comic book series. He's had a few series over the years. Jonah Hex. But it's all right. Nothing wrong with it. It's okay. Well, excuse me. And I watched Shaft on the movie channel here. I recorded that too for, future, to watch sometime. I finally got around to it. Shaft, starring Samuel Jackson. The motherfucker. Well, he says that a lot in this movie too, right? And then there's Jesse, I think his name's Tusher, or Jesse T. Usher, yeah. And Richard Roundtree, the original Shaft, right? From, 50 years ago. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Junior, right? Shaft Junior, right? His buddy, one of his buddies, right, gets killed. Right? They say he took an overdose, but he had a lot of stuff in his body, and he says, Junior says, no, he would never do that. So he enlists his dad, right, Senior Shaft, right, to look into the murder of his friend. So they run around town and slap people in the head and shoot people and shoot more people and slap people in the head and shoot more people, and yeah, it's fun. I gave it a 7. Shaft, yeah, from 2019. You can watch this one again too. It's fun. Everybody gets shot and killed, this, stuff like that, right? So it's good. I ain't gonna tell you the ending. You're gonna have to watch that for yourself to find out. Shaft. And I watched I think it's 2000, right? The X-Men. The X-Men. I think pretty sure this is the first appearance of the X-Men on screen, right? And these bad guys, the evil Brotherhood of Evil, they kill people. Yeah, they kill people in this movie. Yeah, Magneto, yeah, him and his buddies, they kill people. As far as I know, they kill people. That's what it looks like to me. But yeah, Wolverine's in this, right? And Rogue, yeah, she's in it. So it's a good movie from 2000. First time I see the X-Men on screen. So that was, what, 21 years ago? Yeah, Bryan Singer. The X-Men. Can't tell you what the ending of this movie is either, or too much about it, because it will spoil it for you. I gave it an 8. Pretty sure I gave it an 8. It's a good movie. First appearance of the X-Men. Definitely worth an 8. Alright, what else did I watch? Oh, Badlands. Watched it on TCM. Right? Badlands. Everybody knows. Well, most of you. Badlands, 1973. Fact-based story about a 15-year-old girl skipping rope, singing songs out in front of her house. And this 25-year-old guy comes walking by and says hello. He's 25, she's 15. And it takes place in Dakota. Dakota? Yeah, 1958. So he sees her, starts seeing her, talking to her. And he goes and sees her father, and he wants to know, say, Daddy, can I see your daughter? Can I take your daughter out and all that stuff? And the father says, no. No, you can't. No, I don't want you to. I don't want you to have anything to do with my daughter. You cannot see her. No. Everything. No. Right? So, he takes it upon himself to go to their house. The father and the daughter comes home, and he's in the house, and he shoots the dad. His dad shoots him, right? That's it. And then he sets fire to the house, and the girl, Sissy Spacek character, right, runs off with him. They run around the neighborhood, shooting people, killing people, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a nasty piece of work. Not that Sissy Spacek, I don't think she kills anybody in this movie. I think she just goes along for the ride. And as far as you can tell by the movie, she ain't the brightest light bulb in the bunch either, right? You know what I'm saying? And the elevator doesn't go all the way up, and he's definitely up as nut, right? Martin Sheen's character, right? So, yeah, Warren Oates plays the dad. Yeah, he plays a good dad. So I gave it a 7. A big 7. Yeah, you can watch this one again, too. But it's a little, he shoots people and stuff, so. There you go. Okay, what else did I watch? I watched this one. Just watched this the other day. This is called Two Ways Home, 2020, right? Tanya Frederick and Tom Bauer. She's in jail. It's the beginning of the movie. She's standing in this variety store. She's standing with a gun. She's got a gun on people. She wants the money at the cash register. Probably a 7-Eleven or corner store or something, right? So yeah, her and this guy's in there. She's standing there, and yeah. Anyway, the cops come. They get her, right? The guy runs away. But before he runs away, he gives her a gun. So she's standing there with 2 guns now, right? And the cops pick her up. Anyway, it leads to the fact that she goes to jail and stuff, and she sees people and talks to them. And she's basically she's bipolar, right? There's something, something's wrong with her. She's got to take her meds, right? Medication. She's been away from home. She left her daughter and her husband, family and that, right? About 3 years ago. All right, so then the people that are taking care of her in jail or outside of jail when she sees other people, she's now on medication and she's doing quite well. She's doing okay. So then she decides she goes back home. She wants to go back home and see her daughter and her grandfather, and her husband and mom and dad and aunts and all that stuff. She heads back home, goes back home, comes across her grandfather. Her grandfather's, of course, old. He's got a farm, and she starts looking after him. And then things go a little, what's that word? Hairy. You know, things happen, but yeah, I can't really tell you too much more, or I'll spoil that for you too. So, I liked the movie. I gave it a 7. It's definitely worth a 7. You know, nothing really, what's that word? Ugly happens in it. It's basically a story about a young girl. Well, she's got to be in her 30s, I guess, in around there, 30-something. She has a 12-year-old daughter, right? So she's got to be at least that. So she goes back home, and things that happen to her back home, and her aunt, and what's going to happen to her grandfather, and all that stuff, right? So I give it a 7 out of a 10. If you haven't watched it, you can come across it and watch it. It's a good watch, okay? 2 Ways Home. Yeah. And then I watched this one, Hitler's Madman, 1943. This takes place in a small little village over in Czechoslovakia, right? The village, right? And there's Germans there, of course. And this madman, this guy, this head guy, right, is in charge of everything, right? Yeah. He goes around killing people like the Germans do, right? Now, if something happens over there and he doesn't like it, right? For every time something happens over there, he kills about 20 people, right? You know, if something gets blown up or something happens, he kills people. Yeah, so it's not very good. So, like, it's a propaganda type movie, right? You know, this really, I mean, this really did happen in a way, like a village, like, you know, that things happened back then in the war times. This kind of stuff, atrocities, really did take place, right? He decided that, not him, but the next guy in charge, decided to take out a whole village, wiped out a whole village. Everybody in the village is gone, dead. Not the madman, this guy I'm talking about, but another guy that took his place. Didn't wipe out the village that he, you know, didn't wipe out the main village that they were talking. He decided to wipe out another village beside it. Wiped them right off, burnt them out, bombed them, gone. Hitler's Madman, yeah. John Carradine, Ralph Morgan. Yeah. What did I say? What did I give this? It's a 6. It's all right. You can watch it, but I don't know if you want to watch it again. I got to put it back in my box over there, but yeah, I think I'd probably seen this, but fuck, it was years and years and years ago. Probably a long time ago. Probably 20 years ago. I remember a little bit about it, but not the whole movie. And then I watched this one. This one, Donnie Darko, right? With Jake. What's his name? Jake Gyllenhaal. His sister was in it too, and Jenna Malone, she's in it. This one's a little strange. Can't figure, some of it I couldn't figure out. Now, I didn't know whether he was dreaming or he had already dreamt all this stuff. Things are going to happen to this guy, right? He knows that things are going to happen. So it's kind of like, now how do I understand this movie? Because this movie, in the beginning, near the beginning of the movie, this airplane engine fell on his house, right? But he wasn't in it, right? He was like someplace else, as far as I know. And he missed his dad, his mom, and then, you know, as time goes, there's a countdown until this day, right, and something's going to happen. So you watch all this stuff and all that, right, and you're going, well, that's a little strange. But like I said to you, as I keep repeating myself over and over again, that if you haven't seen Donnie Darko, I can't really elaborate too much of what happens in the movie because it will spoil it for you. And I kind of, in a roundabout way, don't really know myself, thinking I still can't figure this movie out. Now, I don't know whether he was dreaming like before that to come across all these things that happened to him, or when it did happen to him, is he dreaming after? Are we seeing a story that took place after? So if anybody knows more than me about this movie, you know, tell me below in the comments, or if you can tell me anything about it. What's your opinion on Donnie Darko? All right? So yeah, that's the movies that I watched this week. And it's kind of windy here in Toronto. The wind's really blowing here and there. It's a little on the cool side. I had to put my winter coat on when I went out for a walk earlier. And yesterday or the day before, I put my spring coat on, my little brown one. It's nice. And today it's like, oh, the blue sky's out there now, but it just happened a while ago. Before it was all kind of like damp, rain. It was raining, it was windy, it was cold, it was like, oh, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, so I want you all to stay safe, get your shots if you can, and stay healthy, stay safe, and keep watching those movies. And that's all from Bob. Yeah, all right, people. Have a good weekend. Have a good week, and keep watching those movies.